Good morning. It's Brenda Quintana, and I am in my Beehive studio this morning. Sorry, I am a few minutes late today. I had everything ready except for my work surface. I have been creating and creating and creating, and there's a good thing to having lots of little clear blocks around. It's because, when you're stamping a card, you can, put multiple things on different blocks. But the bad thing about having lots of clear blocks is that you can go for a long time without having to pry off those little stamps and just keep shoving them back on your desk. And so I got to the point this morning where I was like, okay, I'll need like 5-10 minutes to clean up at the max. And it took me a lot longer this morning. Hello, Connie. So I'm a little late this morning because I'm cleaning up, but I got both my work surfaces clean. I have one here at my stamp desk that I stamp and I film on. Now it's all clean. And I also got my die cutting, scoring station all cleaned up too. So now I can actually see the bottom. So hopefully that will help me be a little bit more creative this week. So today is Casing Tuesday, and that's the day when we take a card out of the catalog and we give it a makeover. Let me share with you today's card. This is the card that we're starting from. This is the one in the catalog, and it is on page 30 of the catalog. And it's a very elegant card. I really like it, but I decided to go a totally different direction with it. But if you like this card, it's actually not a hard card. Well, should I say it's not a hard card? I don't think it's a very hard card to make, because other than, I'm not quite sure how they did the leaf and the berries in the center, but that star is actually, it comes in a package of stars, so that one's very easy. The paper in the background, the one with the geometric pattern, that is a designer series paper. And that embossed look, that's just an embossing folder. So this card, if you take off the leaf and berries, is a very simple card. It looks very elegant and complex, but it really isn't. So then let me unmask this one. This is the layout for today. Layout's not very complicated at all. It's just a rectangle and a circle. I also wanted to kind of keep that element that went across the front, the ribbon. I did mine a little differently though, so I'll show you mine in just a moment. But that is the card that we are working from. So if you like challenges and if you like making cards, join our Facebook group. The link is down below, and you can join us. There's a group of us that does it every week. My card's up there already, someone else's is up there already, and we just take it and we take the basic layout, or we take something from the original card and we use it to create a new card. So it's a really good challenge. It's a good challenge for beginners because it gives you a starting point, and it's a good challenge for people like myself who've been around for a while, because it gets us out of our comfort zone. So I hope you will join us over there on our Facebook group. All right, let me switch cameras and click on the right link, and I'll show you my card for today. Doesn't it look a lot different than that elegant card? My card is kind of like a fun card, and I really enjoyed using this snowman punch to create it. I did use paper on the background. This one, I failed to print out my little guide sheet today. That's how behind I am. This is the Let It Snow specialty designer series paper in the background, and it is a specialty paper because some of the paper, I don't know if you can see, not down below on the cellophane, but up here there's some sparkles on the trees, and it's got a little bit of an embossed feel, so some of the sheets have that special sparkly and embossed feel to it. It's a very nice snowy winter paper if you're looking for that kind of thing. Other than that, it's not really a hard card, but I'm going to show you how I made mine. So this is the Snowman Season Bundle, and it comes with the Snowman Season stamp set and the Snowman Builder Punch. When you purchase these two together, you save 10%. So I definitely recommend, unless you really love fussy cutting, getting both at the same time, because that is a little bit of a savings when you get both of them. The other thing I use for this background circle right here, I use the what are these called? Stitched Shapes framelits for this circle. Now, if you don't have a die cutting machine, you could also just use a little rectangle in the background. Just cut yourself a rectangle, because if you're a card maker, you really do need a trimmer, like a paper trimmer, in order to do your cards. So I figure most people have that. But I did use a little circle in the background on mine, but it is not necessary. All right, let's get this card. I'm going to need this punch over here. So we'll start off by building the snowman, and I've just got a piece of Whisper White. I'm going to use thick Whisper White here just because I'm going to pop up my snowman on dimensionals, and it just gives a little bit more stability for the paper up on the dimensionals support. Okay, I'm using my Tuxedo black ink pad. And that looks good. And I'm just going to stamp this little guy down on my white. Do I need to stamp anything else right now? I don't think so. So I'll put that away. Then I'll take my Snowman Builder Punch. Hello, everyone who's joined me. I'm going to take my punch, just line it up. I'm kind of clamping it before I punch it to kind of make sure I get it in the right spot, because I kind of want them centered. Okay, that looks good. And one little white arm came out here, but we're gonna punch this little guy some wooden arms. So I've got a scrap piece of soft suede here. So I'll just stick this in and get those two little branch arms. And I could have stamped these and then punched them, but I really just wanted I didn't even need a line or anything on these. I think they look fine just as is. And I'm also just going to punch the hat. Now there is a stamp that matches the hat, so you could color it or stamp it in a different color. I just want a kind of a black frosty hat, just a plain one. So I'm going to keep it simple a little bit. I do want to do a couple things to my snowman. I want to shade my snowman just a little bit with my Pool Party Stampin' Blends. So I'm just going to come down on the bottom of the circle and just give him a little shading with my Pool Party Stampin' Blends. This is the light one. And I'm going to take the Pumpkin Pie Dark Stampin' Blends and hit the nose. There's actually also a punch for the nose if you wanted to have that nose stick out a little bit, but I don't really want to take the trouble. It is, let me just show you, it is quite small. So, you know, it is a little fiddly. So I just would prefer not to have to fiddle and just color in the nose with my Stampin' Blend. Okay, let me see. Do I have all my pieces? Not quite yet. I do want to add a little bit of this lovely lipstick grosgrain on here. And I think it's easier if you tie this on first and then glue everything on. The reason why I want to do that first is because it's harder to tie the bow and get the little pieces going in the right direction than it is to move the arms. So if I tie my scarf first, then I can move my arms around the scarf and position them so they look right. So I'm just gonna take a little bit of this grosgrain. I'm almost out. I had to order a new roll. I must have loved this color. Okay, so I'm just gonna do a little knot, my first little knot. And this ribbon is a little slippery, so it's a little hard to tie a knot. So you want to use maybe a locking tweezer and just hold down that first knot with a locking tweezer. I got these at a craft store, and a little set of 4 tweezers in the beading section. So it's just a little handy tool that I like to use. And then I'm going to come in and tie my little knot. Okay, that looks pretty good. Just scooching over my knot a little bit. Yeah, I like doing a little ribbon scarf rather than a different type of scarf because this has a little bit more dimension to it. Let me grab my scissors and I'm just going to angle cut just a little bit. Okay, now I need to make sure this one's a little smaller. There's my little scarf. Okay, so now we can add the little arms on here. And just see if I can get my glue. I left this glue open. You should have seen my craft room this morning. It was really, really messy. Oh my gosh. I don't know how many cards I did in a succession without cleaning up. Sometimes I enjoy cleaning up and sometimes I just want to make a card. And yesterday I was like, oh, if I clean up this mess, then I'll never get to make my card for today. So I just kind of bypassed it. So I just kind of shoved everything forward and it was kind of bad. All right, so I'm just going to use a little dot. Ooh, that's a lot of glue. So I'm going to grab a scrap piece of cardstock and I'm just going to take a little bit of that glue off. And then I'll just add my arm over here. And then I'll do that same thing for the other side. You want to assemble your snowman and then add it to the card. Let's see. This time my little snowman. See, on my first snowman, I had the arm in a slightly different position. So it really helps to have that ribbon scarf on first before you position those little arms. And then the little head or the hat. So I'll put a little bit of Tombow right up at the top of the head. And then I'll just add that hat. Glue gives me a chance to reposition everything. So there. So that is basically the snowman. Pretty easy. So let me bring in my card base. This is Blueberry Bushel, and I just chose a blue out of the paper. I know many of you already know this, but on the back of your designer series paper, I can't push this too much forward because my tripod's in the way, but on the back there's a label and it lists the paper and then it lists all the colors in the paper. So when I'm designing a card, if I'm using the paper, I just go to the back and look at the colors and there's Blueberry Bushel right there. I know that's the right blue, so that's the blue that I will choose for my paper. It's just easier to build a card using the designer series paper than anything else. So let me grab this, and this one is the little mitten paper, and the back of it is just a nice stripe. So if you want something more neutral, usually there's a neutral pattern on the back of our paper. So this piece is 3.5 by 4.25 inches, and our card base, I know a lot of you know what our card base is. I'll do that in a second. My glue is like, it's at the end of my glue cycle. So this card base is half a sheet of cardstock. This length is 8.5 by 5.5, and then I scored it in half at the 4.25 inch mark. So I've got Tombow on the back of this, just a little light layer, and I'm going to adhere this about 3/8 of an inch away from the right side if you want to be precise. And then just smooth that down. And then we're going to take this pool party circle. This is the largest stitched shapes dies circle. That's a big mouthful. But I'm going to add some Tombow to the back of this. And then I'm going to center it from side to side on the paper. And then I'll have as much space side to side, and then I'm going to look at that space, and I'm also going to eyeball that for the top. So kind of these three sides have equal distance from the edge of the designer series paper. And then smooth that down. So we'll have our little snowman here. I'll put some dimensionals. Let's see. Got my little adhesive thing. I am almost out of dimensionals. Really, I'm not out of dimensionals. I'm just out of dimensionals in my little pack over there. I have a whole bunch more dimensionals in my drawer over there because, well, would you ever want to run out of adhesive? Like that's kind of, it's a nightmare for me. Not a nightmare, but like that is, I don't want to ever run out of like a stock supply. So I don't want to ever run out of adhesive. So I always have backup dimensionals and backup Tombow. So like even though I'm like getting every last little drop out of that darn bottle, well, there's probably 3 bottles sitting in my drawer over there. So I'm not desperate. I just, you know, I want to use it up before I move on. Then later on, I actually use the edges of my dimensional papers. Maybe you do that too. When I'm not doing a card on camera, I will just use like these edges and I'll use them up too. Just because I can, and I want to be a little bit frugal. Okay, so now I've got this little banner. Instead of that ribbon that's coming across here, I'm going to add this little strip of cardstock, and I'm going to stamp my greeting on here. So this piece is 5 inches by 5/8 of an inch. If you want to catch those dimensions that I used again, just click on the link that goes to my blog and you will find all my dimensions written down. So I'm going to add that, but I want to stamp my greeting first. And I'm going to use blueberry bushels so we match the card base. Oh, and one thing I forgot to do, but we can still add snowflakes. So I'm going to just stamp this. Make sure I'm getting it all inky. Okay. So I want to have this greeting. It's going to be about 1/4 of an inch from the left side. The reason I didn't center it over here, I tried it in different ways, and you can, my scraps are all in my garbage now, but I tried it different ways and I liked it over here better because it provided a little bit of balance to the card. When I had it over here, it felt like the card was gonna tip in my brain. It felt wrong. So I thought to bring in this side of the card a little bit, I would move my greeting over here to this side. So that is that. But I also want to add a few little snowflakes over here. I'm going to be careful not to get it on the paper. But this is just going to kind of stick out a little bit and anchor my greeting over here on this side. So I'll just add just that tiny little bit of interest down there at the bottom. Okay, and I had an extra piece just in case I messed up, but I didn't, so that's good. So I'm going to add this piece right here, and I'll just use a line of Tombow on here if I can get this going. So we are adding that right here. I'm just hitting the bottom of this circle right here. I like to do kind of a little bit of an overlapping layer because that incorporates everything together. And then I've got the little snowflakes over here. And now finally I've got my little snowman. Let me remove the little backings off my dimensionals. And then I can just nest this little guy down on here. And that is my very happy, bright, cheerful card on a very gray day here in the Boston area. It is kind of gray and we may get some more rain. I walked in the rain this morning, but I'm very dedicated to my walking, so that's not a big surprise maybe for many of you. So there's the card, and this one looks a little bit different, doesn't it? My scarf was a little longer, but you know, they both look cute, and it is not a hard card to do at all. So I hope you like that. And it just shows the versatility of, my cards are crooked on my camera. I didn't notice that. It just shows the versatility of that layout because let me move back over to my original card, this one. See, that one versus this one. So, you know, quite a bit different. Like my little cards are like really bright and cheerful and fun. And this one's just elegant and serene. So see what you can do with this challenge. See if you can create a fun card or an elegant card or a pretty card, or maybe it's going to be like a non-Christmas card. Maybe you want to do it in a fall theme, or maybe you need a birthday card. So think about all the different ways that you could use that layout and create a card. And notice how I put my greeting across the bottom. Well, if you don't want to put a greeting on your card, you could very easily just do the ribbon tying like they did on the original card. So I really like this layout. So I hope you will give it a little try today. So on Friday, I am heading up to Canada. Our son, I'm sure I talk about him way too much, but he's our one and only, so you're going to have to hear about him a little bit. He is studying up at the University of Waterloo in Canada, and he has a week off next week, but we're not staying for the full week, but it is Canadian Thanksgiving. So we were heading up for the weekend, and we're going to spend it with him. And yeah, it will be great to see him. I haven't seen him since the end of August. We dropped him off on the very last day of August, and I haven't seen him since. So tomorrow, you know that Christmas countdown calendar that we have, the Advent calendar that we have in the holiday catalog? Well, guess what? Tomorrow, I am going to sit there and I'm going to make it live from start to finish on YouTube. So I'll be on YouTube. I'll do a YouTube live tomorrow, and I am making that for him. I'm hauling it up to Canada, and I'm going to stick it on the top of his wardrobe, and I'm going to tell him he can't open it till December 1st, and I'll put it back in the box and everything so that it's all, covered. Hopefully it won't stick out too far on the front once I'm done, but I'm going to make it up for him, and then he can open it in December, because I will not be seeing him, most likely, until around December 20th, because his exam schedule goes deep into December, so we won't see him for a while. And I thought it would be kind of fun for him to have an advent calendar there. I think I've pretty much done an advent calendar for every year since he was old enough to be able to enjoy it. It's been a tradition in my family for a very long time, so I'm glad that there is an advent calendar in the catalog this year. Last year I did a Christmas tree advent calendar, so if you want like a little bit different looking advent calendar, you can check out my tutorial section in my Christmas section and have a look. I have a Christmas tree advent calendar, but I'm going to do the Stampin' Up one this year, and I'm going to fill it with candy, and I'm going to drop it off for him, so that should be a lot of fun. So I will not be here next Tuesday, but I will post a card on my blog, and then I will be back the following Tuesday. So I know a lot of you probably have Columbus Day off, or some places now call it a different name. But if you have Monday off, I hope you enjoy your day and think of me up in Canada celebrating Canadian Thanksgiving. All right, guys, I hope you have a great week. I didn't see any questions come through, so just thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you back here in 2 weeks. Take care. Bye-bye.